action, and welcome everybody. This is the PnP Weekly episode 239. It is 4th of March. We are heading towards spring. Even in Finland, you can actually feel the spring in the air.
Really? Like no more snow?
Snow, yes, still snow, but still you can clearly see the good direction. So Europe is the Central Europe is in a bit different situation given the temperatures have been really high and it's spring, right? So,
yes.
And in the PnP Weekly, I always talk about the latest on the weather, which is happening in Finland or US and
yes,
or the M365 and related technologies. My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm product manager in the Microsoft 365 platform areas and co-host being Waldek.
Hey everybody, my name is Waldek Mastykarz and I am cloud developer advocate for Microsoft 365.
Cool. In the PnP Weekly, always have a visitor, and then we go through the weekly articles. And this time, the visitor is
Zoe Watson. She's co-founder of 365 Tribe, and we talked to her about her journey, where she's from, what she's working now, and also interesting, challenges when it comes to adoption. Because if there's one thing that is really inevitable, especially in DID, is change. So how do you deal about it? What are your some interesting tactics and strategies that you can apply to really drive adoption and help people achieve more with the technology that they have?
Yep, absolutely. And without the further ado, let's actually jump on the interview. Excellent. Let's get started. So thank you, Zoe, for joining us on the PnP Weekly. So let's start with a really basic stuff. Who are you and what do you do for a living?
So Zoe Watson, I'm a co-founder of 365 Tribe, and we help organizations adopt Microsoft 365 technologies.
Let's immediately jump on that one. What does that mean in practice?
What does that mean? So we're all about, or we like to say, we're all about the people side of technology. So to us, we want to enable organizations to help their people really adopt and understand how to use the technology. And the way that we do that is through our Digital Champions programs. So we run fully managed digital champions programs for organizations where we're sort of engaging and working with different communities each day and showing them how to use some of the cool products that are out there, really.
Yeah, that's actually incredibly important because again, we as a Microsoft release all the time so much new stuff. And then the customers or end users is like, stop it, don't push all of this new stuff. And that's why we need to have the mentoring and championships programs and all of that in place, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And we come across that daily, whether it's someone that's never used Microsoft 365 before, or they consider themselves to be really well versed in it, but something's changed, something's new, a button's missing that was there yesterday. So it's just being able to really sort of help and support them through that process.
Yeah. Well, how do you position? That's immediately on that one because again, I love the IT is all about people business. Is technology obviously is a means of doing something, but it's all about making people to transition and understand the value of the IT. How do you position that change? How do you explain for customers that? Well, because I can imagine that a lot of customers like, can we control this change? And the answer is no, you can't really. So how do you explain for end users or customers that they should be adapting the speed of innovation in the Microsoft 365? Any guidance there?
Yeah, we're fortunate to work with lots of forward-thinking organisations in that way, where they're keen to leverage their licenses. But likewise, when working with the champions communities, I guess that's probably key. I mean, we go out and we recruit, typically 10% of an organisation to become champions, and within that, you've got a real mix of people and different departments that have, trying to overcome these challenges. And I think organisations, they always say to us at the start, I don't think that many people are going to step forward. This is, it's quite a big change. People are going to be really scared about this, or they're so used to being, set in their ways and doing things the old style. And we always tend to find the opposite. In fact, more people step forward to take part. And to us, it's managing that process in a controlled way. So we align. We don't push everything at them in all one go. So we sort of align it to what we call key business scenarios. So we talk to people about, how they can get the most out of the tools, such as how they can have smarter meetings, or how they can better collaborate with their colleagues, or find and store information. So it's all about really focusing on the benefits of the technology and making sure that the organisation and the stakeholders realise that, as well as the actual champion and user communities.
Yeah.
The one that I want to ask immediately about that is, what are some of the things where you share change with folks and then you see it click, you see that spark in their eyes, like, oh, and then you see them go? Like, what are some of the things that you share with them that make that huge shift from resistance and change to like, oh my God, I can do this and I can do so many more things, and then they just go?
Absolutely, and we see that almost daily in the programs. One of the beauties, I think, about what we do, and one of the reasons we started to do this, was having the ability to be in all of these programs on a day-to-day basis and see champions actually changing the way that they work, and that could be anything from one of the things people get most excited about is flash fill in Excel, for example. To them, that's a huge time saver. It's something they never knew before, but relatively simple. But then we've also had, through our sort of Power Platform tracks and some of the more deeper dive content that we do, actually seeing people transform the way they work, going paperless using tools like OneNote, or being able to automate some of their processes in different ways. And it's seeing them discover those hidden gems, that we call them, that really helps that whole transition process.
Can you kind of, just out of curiosity, is there a consistency across the customers? So are there kind of is there something like top 5 things what people didn't know, but then when they know about it, they go, oh my God, this is awesome. So do you have any specific like hidden gems which comes to mind?
There's so many. I mean, we share we share in the program. Each of the programs gets access to weekly tips and tricks and things like that. So that could be a new feature, or it could be, as I say, something that's been in Excel or Word, or for many years, and people just haven't discovered. So it's probably difficult to pinpoint a top 5 or a top 10. But also, I guess different things work for different people. So depending on their roles and departments, it's they're going to discover things that really works for them and their day-to-day working lives.
Maybe to take a step back, change. Like, you used to do something that way, you're used to it, you master it, and then something's changed. Something's not the same, new UI, new way to do things. Somebody announced, hey, today we're going to do, or from now on, we're going to do things differently. What are the challenges, or like, what are the hardest things you see when things change when it comes to adoption? Like, what is the biggest limits, threshold, boundaries that really hold back from adopting change?
I think it's probably the resistance to change from people within organisations that, as I said, they've been used to doing something the same way for many years. I mean, we do a lot of work with lots of different organisations, but councils, I would say, they tend to have the same approach for many years. So getting people to actually want to get on board with that change process is probably the biggest challenge that we see. And often, they feel that we hear all the time, well, I'm not digital, I'm not, able to understand what this is. And I think people can genuinely be scared, and whether that's from, executive level, where they're more scared about being seen to understand what this is, when actually, they've still got to overcome that learning curve themselves, right through to, floor walkers that are, accessing from mobile device, and all of a sudden everything looks different. So I think, what we try and do is really handhold people through that process and give them access to a variety of different methods that will enable them to learn in a way that suits them. That will then also give them that support network, whilst outlining the benefits. But you've got to, be cautious in that, and make sure it's in easy to consume chunks of information that people can really sort of start to understand and realise the benefits.
And I can imagine at least that there's massive differences between generational gaps. So the people who are digital natives versus the people who are a bit older who didn't have the mobile phone necessarily when they were young. Is that,
Absolutely.
Simple example. So in my case, for example, my mother used to work in a bank back in 80s and 90s, and then she used to use computers. But that had a negative impact on her. Right now, he's in mid 80s or something, and basically there's a massive fear about the computers because in the banking system it was basically don't do X and Y and Z because otherwise that will cause a financial impact. So then there's simple rules, and now she's afraid of using the computer because then you can mess up. It's like no, you can do whatever you want, I'll fix it. So, and that's kind of as long as you don't use your credit cards and give your credit cards away, it will be fine. But it's interesting to see that the background and of course the generational transition. Simple example on the other side, my wife's mother had a different kind of a background, and she didn't work with computers. And whenever we bought the computer like 15 years ago, 10 years ago for her, it's like, you can do whatever you want. Don't give a credit card away, I'll fix it. And she came to master that immediately because there was no fear. There was no fear on that. What if I mess up? So
that's right. And we always say to people, and I think you said it at the start, Vesa, was click the 3 dots. And to us, you want to know more, click the 3 dots. We probably say that day in, day out. Play around,
yes.
Find out what's new. Don't be scared of it, because embrace it, and you'll go far. So
yeah.
But I think I can imagine, right, that also plays into the culture, right? Because depending with what kind of org you engage, some orgs are really, they embrace failures and to learn from that, whereas others are like, no, like we're very risk averse. We're like, we don't fail here, really.
Yeah.
So how do you see that play? And then when you end up working with an org that is risk averse, what kind of tips and tricks and techniques and tactics do you employ to kind of help them change really and adopt risk, right, and failures, because they will happen inevitably because they learn a new thing.
And I guess we've worked with a mixture so far from that point of view. I mean, we've worked with clients that go ahead, they switch everything on. It's they give everyone the free rein to really go and embrace the technology. And then we work with others that everything is restricted for good reason, perhaps because of the industry that they're in, and they're scared of their users being able to share information in a secure way, and all of those things. So we tailor all of the content to support them, basically. And I think that's key. I think if we were just taking a book off the shelf and saying, this is how you do adoption, I think we probably wouldn't have as many customers as we do. But but being able to really tailor it to those unique industries, right down to the content and right down to the messaging that we're giving to the champions in terms of, we don't like to tell people what they can't do within a program. So we spend a lot of time at the start sort of really understanding both the culture and the organizational structure to then be able to tailor that program to their own unique requirements. And I think doing that gives our customers that reassurance that we're almost an extension of their team that really understand what they're trying to do and how we can support them as part of that process.
So that's being basically close to customer as a change management consultant, and then helping the customers. Now, just out of curiosity, how many customers do you have, and how does this actually work? So you basically you're working remotely from home 24/7, and throughout the 24/7, you'll have a gajillion calls where you just join and say, "Hey,
24/7." No, Zoe's not working 24/7. No.
Zoe often does work 24/7. No, absolutely. So it's a 12-month fully managed program of activity. We have in the region of, I guess, 25, 30 live programs currently. Cool. Each of those programs has anything in it from 50 champions right up to some of our larger programs that have had 1,400 champions.
Wow.
And I think our furthest one, so sometimes it can be almost 24 hours, is we do have an Australian client base as well. So but the beauty of the program is we wanted something that could be I guess, practice what we're preaching to people, that we can deliver it from anywhere. So it's all delivered using our customers' Microsoft 365 licenses. I'm a big believer that, if you're going to learn about something, really play around and embed yourself within those tools. And then so we've got a fantastic team here at 365 Tribe who are, in the programs daily, talking to customers, answering questions, posting tips, delivering live sessions. So it's I guess to them it's round the clock, and that really works for the flexible workforce out there, where they don't have to sit down on a 5-day training course or a 3-day training course. They can dip in and dip out at a time that suits them, do some learning, gain a badge in our industry, and then go on with their daily work having learned something new. So
Now, we always talk about this when with partners and people who are walking in. We're not walking in. What am I saying? English is hard. Anyway, so in the show, we talk about quite often the transition from the on-premises to the cloud, and cloud taking over the world and all of that stuff and transition. But this really feels like that the cloud actually enabled you with your business to do the work. So it wasn't really transition, it was the spark, because everything what you seem to be doing remotely and delivering and supporting champions all across the world is cloud-based, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. So we deliver our program through Teams. We leverage many of the apps to deliver that program as well. So we're not only teaching people about it, we're actually building within that environment ourselves. So, and I think this really helps us from a Teams perspective, because we're in there answering questions, but at the same time we're watching out for the new features and all of the updates that come with it. We're having to make changes to the program itself.
Where did the buttons go today? So,
absolutely, yeah. That move that just affected 30 customers, but let's turn it into a positive and show them how cool that is. So that's basically without that, I guess it would have been a third-party platform, and the fact that we're able to deliver within our client's own environment just makes it easier for them to be able to consume that content. So.
Obviously, me and Waldek are cloud native, so to say, as well, because we're working 24/7 remotely. Well, not working 24/7, but
I'm in the office in my own house. I don't know what you mean cloud native. Just kidding.
Fair point. Fair point. But,
Anyways, and another thing that I wanted to ask, Zoe, you haven't been always doing this work. Like in the past, like we met when I think we will still on-prem, or we will just about to go to the cloud. So that's so much for cloud native. And both of us were doing
like
different.
20 years ago, right? So.
No, we're not that.
Probably not far off.
Yeah,
15.
How did it come to be that you're doing this job? Like, at what point? Like, what made you think like, hey, I want to help people do more with tech? How did you get here, basically?
I blame my brother initially, but
Perfect.
no.
Perfect
He's a great mentor, but yeah, I think so going back years, obviously my past was very much delivering technical training courses or power user training courses, and very much around the on-prem world. So SharePoint developer, SharePoint administrator, and I did that for around about 14 years, but that was following Brett introducing me to, hey, do you want to come and sell some SharePoint training courses back in the day? And me asking, I think at the time, was, what's SharePoint? And now, obviously that evolved, and then I got more into supporting that organisation with delivering live events and conferences. So I think possibly we met in the SharePoint Evolution conference back in London in the day, and we delivered those events from 2009 through to 2015. And I think my role was very mixed. So it was selling training courses, and then spending 6 months of the year also planning a large event in London, which I absolutely loved. So what got me here, I guess, was when that finished, and I started to think, Office 365, this is really cool. I feel like we could do more with this, but I feel like people are learning in different ways. So I was really, my colleagues sort of drove this to some extent, and that they, we were talking about how we'd love to be able to deliver digital champions programs and what could that potentially look like. And then we formed 365 Tribe.
So cool.
So yeah, it's I think probably the discovery of realizing that there was so much more you could do.
Yeah,
with
and also probably the fact that things change, and the only the constant that we will ever have is the change, right? That things will evolve, and people will need some assistance with that to truly get the most out of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I think many years in those roles, it was time to spread my wings and see if I could form a company, obviously working with my partner Luke, and see what that looked like. So probably the scariest thing I've ever done to date, but probably also one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah, that was the
Totally.
follow-up question. So how do you feel about that change? But now on that one, do you have kind of any thoughts on kind of a tips or things on if people are considering that they should be establishing their own company and being like in the middle of should I not, or what do I should be doing? Any thoughts on that one?
I think just go for it. It's if you've got an idea and I think I spent the first year worrying, I've stepped away from something that I'm very, very used to. So I guess I'm probably a really good example of that change process, in that I was very familiar in what I did day in, day out, but it was taking that risk, and it did pay off. It's been a lot of work, so I think be prepared that it is a lot of work. I thought this would be lovely at first, work from home, ladies at lunch, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not true, but actually, I really love it, and overcoming that fear of making that move, and then just holding your own and just keep going at it. And we're 6 this year, and hopefully long may it continue. So.
Yeah, I think really the hardest part is that to realize that you're in charge. Like if you're employed, there is somebody else who's setting the course, setting the direction. Whereas here, you're in charge. You're the boss, and if you don't do it, it's not being done, right?
Yes.
So it's gotta come to you. Like if you want something changed, well, you gotta change it. You gotta take initiative. You're doing everything. And yes, you delegate things at some point, but it needs to happen in your mind that you're envisioning the change and the goal, the direction, and so forth and so on. So it's a lot of different work basically on your back. Like you got to do this.
Yeah, but I also think, and I've always been a big believer in this, in that it doesn't matter what job you do, you need to really engage within that, what else is going on in the company, and really understand the work that you're doing. So I'm never fazed about stepping into any of my colleagues' shoes if they're on holiday and they need me to do something. I think you really need to understand your business and the people in it, and also show that you can relate to what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, and you understand the work that they're doing, and I think that's really key. We're quite a close team here, and I guess being a small company, we wear many hats on occasions, but that's probably the bit that I like the most. Is it can be really varied, and technology wise I've learned more in 365 Tribe over the last 5 years than I think I've ever learned, because I was very much didn't really step into the tech boundaries in my previous roles, whereas 365 Tribe, I'm in the program, I'm actually learning myself on a day-to-day basis as well.
That's actually that's the great piece of being an instructor or a trainer, which I've done plenty of that in my career as well, is that you actually have, then it's part of your role to really truly master and learn and investigate, and then explain that within a human language on this is what it actually means. So, and explaining that, because then you have the option of learning new stuff as well.
Yes, absolutely. And it's good. It's good. Keeps you going.
Absolutely. Yeah. Coming back on the different, the mental mindset and thinking on the fact that you are the one who needs, or you're the one who's leading things, and then also there are different kind of people. Some people are the ones who basically want to understand what the other people are doing and are willing to then step into, and it's completely fine that we are a different kind of people. Some people just want to go from 4 to 8 or 8 to 4, whatever the time for 8 to 4, whatever the time people are working, and then waiting for somebody to tell them what they're expected to do, and that's completely fine as well. But if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, and I can't pronounce that word properly because of some sort of
As
a
a
Finnish.
boss.
Yes, if you want to be a company or an individual or building a company, you have to be able to step in and help other people. So
absolutely,
because there's nobody else who can take that.
Big thing. What's next? What's on your mind? Like, what is your next venture or next experiment or the next step for your company?
Okay, so but I think for 365 Tribe, continue to grow and evolve. Our program, evolves each year. We develop something new each year to support it or make it even better. So we're really keen on, continuing that journey. We are introducing more content, so we cover Microsoft 365. We cover Power Platform at the moment. We're also developing a Copilot solution and Copilot for Microsoft 365.
I was just about to ask about
it. So yeah, we've already got many clients that are purchasing their licenses. So really excited about being able to support them on that journey. And I think that's key to us. There's so much good content this month. We've had clients going mad for new teams. So we're able to support them in that way. And I think just continuing to evolve. And personally, and I guess also 365 Tribe will be sponsoring the European Collaboration and Cloud Summit in May in Wiesbaden. So really excited about that. We've sponsored that conference for, this will be our 6th year. I think when we first launched 365 Tribe, it was, what platform do we use to get this brand out there? How can we, maximize our exposure? And that was really through sponsoring. The Collaboration Summit was a key part of that. So we've been avid sponsors each year, and obviously more recently getting to work with the likes of Addis and Margit and team at Lightning Tools to be able to really support that event. More from
you do have a role in the event board. Is that a right way of saying that? Or?
Yes, I've joined the management team. So I guess missing my conference days to some extent. It wasn't.
It wasn't just always there.
Right?
So yeah, missing the big conferences from an organisational perspective. When Addison and Margaret asked whether we'd like to join them, it was a no-brainer for me, really. So yeah, I get to work with them to help out with managing 2 of.
So does that mean that we will see some of kind of like in a past, I would say, like, you kind of set the bar for like what an event, like in-person event is?
Thank you.
Those memories are still, vivid. Like, it was such a brilliant experience. Does that mean that now that you are on board here, we can expect some of that back? And that event, like,
I hope so.
The bar going even higher?
I hope so, 100%. I loved doing the conferences before and always tried to add like a fun twist on, the party nights and events that took place. So yeah, I keep putting forward little ideas at management meetings to see if I can get Addis on board with them. But
what if we would do this? What if we could do that?
Absolutely.
Now, before we close up, can you recap on what the European Collaboration Summit is all about for those who do not know what it is? Everybody should know this already. So, but again, just for the context.
Everybody should know this, and everybody should be there. It's European Collaboration and Cloud Summit this year. So we're effectively bringing together 2 amazing conferences, but 1 large expo hall. So if you're interested in sponsoring it, We're going to bring everyone together in one place. We've got dedicated tracks for both conferences, over 200 speakers, over 100 exhibitors, some really good content around Copilot, AI, Power Platform, Microsoft 365, and it takes place in beautiful Wiesbaden. So yeah, anyone, I just think I love this event. It's community. They always use the hashtag Community Rocks. It really does speak about what it is, and I think it's set to be the largest of its kind in the world this year. So yeah,
we'll see. I think every single conference is basically claiming the same.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We got to be the largest.
One
we'll
of,
see.
one of, should I say better? Apologies. But certainly it's an event not to be missed, 100%.
100%. Yeah, I've been involved in the content team now for, I can't remember how many years, because I'm too old. I can't remember the time. Time flies. So, but probably 8 years. So involved in that. So something like that, I guess, even from the time when it was still in Zagreb. So
yeah.
But that's now really transformed to be a awesome conference, and Wiesbaden is right next to the Frankfurt, so it's closer. I think Waldek, you said it, that it's probably closer to drive from Frankfurt Airport to Wiesbaden than it is to Frankfurt downtown. So
yeah,
it's amazing how easy it is to get to from the UK as well. It's I don't think you need to be worrying too much about the travel to get there at all. I think it's all relatively simple. So
sure. As long as the German taxis are nowadays working with the credit cards,
true.
Just saying.
I think the last time around, during the last ECS last year, we used Uber or some similar app.
Yeah,
it was just an app, like no cabs, no like.
For many years, it's been an interesting challenge to travel in certain countries, and then trying to always figure out the country specific.
To even pay with anything else than cash, just in shops, like
correct,
impossible.
Yeah,
they're like, you want to do what? Nine.
Now, with all the honesty, I do remember when I'm flying first time in Redmond and Seattle Tech Ready is whatever we were doing back in 2008, 7, and so on. And then you pay with a credit card in a cab, and they're like, credit card, and then they do the
oh yeah.
The imprints, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
How times change.
Yes. Please.
How old were you then? Like, which year is that?
Yes. Now you're just showing the mobile phone and you're done. So that's actually so nice. Anyway, back from the historical recaps to nowadays. So thank you. I guess that's it for now. So from this show, we don't want to take too long of your time either. But thank you for joining. Really awesome to have you here, and looking forward to catching up in Wiesbaden.
Absolutely. Thank you both. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. And all the best with the tribal 365, right?
365 tribe, absolutely.
Almost the same, Vesa.
Almost the same. Not far off.
Do your research.
You're not the first one. You're not the
first. There's 365 somewhere in there. So
and a tribe.
But thank you, Zoe. Really cool. Good catch up. We'll be definitely in touch.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, both.
Thank you. We'll jump on the weekly articles with Waldek from here. Excellent. Thank you, Zoe, one more time. Really cool to catch up as well. I remember those Evolution conferences, definitely. So it's been a few years from that.
ICS, yeah.
All of that stuff. That was really fun. That was before the pandemic. So before and after.
Way before pandemic, before everything else.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Anyway, so let's jump on the weekly articles, going through all of the awesome news, what's happening within the last week. So we're capturing here all of the different articles. So first of all, it's that time of the month where we have the monthly summaries coming up across the different organization. A lot of stuff in Microsoft Teams, obviously Copilot in first, but then a lot of other innovation and investments here, including devices, blah blah blah, and so on, blah 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 blah. How do I summarize this? Blah 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 blah. a lot of other stuff from Stephen. Thank you for that one. And then on the Microsoft Teams, there's also a nice article around Microsoft Teams phone empowers frontline workers with a smart and reliable communication. I think the Teams within the frontline worker is a match made in heaven, considering the fact that so many people are using the phones and the what are these the intelligence phones, and then you can access the company information directly. Smartphones, yeah. That's English.
Intelligent phones.
Monday is hard. Smartphones, but you can access the company information and services through the smartphone as well. And within the Microsoft Teams, using then Viva Connection and all of the different Microsoft Teams capabilities, you can easily, create that awesome frontline worker experience. So really a sweet spot over there. Now, on the other monthly summaries, we had the monthly summary on admin side as well. So Microsoft 365 Admin Digest, all of the news in Microsoft 365 all up within February. Not as much news on the other side, but again, a lot of reference points on what's happening across the world. And then in the Microsoft 365 blog, there was also an update on the Microsoft Booking updated homepage. Are you using Booking? Just out of curiosity.
No, I'm not. So I used to, and I had it enabled for a few things, because it's really a great way if you want to have like dedicated slots at. Hey, I want to be able to meet with folks, and these are 2 slots that I have available across the week because I want to plan, my focus time on other things. So this is a great way to do it. So I had it in the past. I don't have it anymore because I'm just doing other things now.
Yeah, I'm so tempted to actually enable that as well, but it's like expose few hours here and there to open for bookings and have a discussion with the ecosystem. It's hard though, because those things typically fill in so fast, and you don't have that much free time within the week to do focus time as well, because there's so much things to deal with. But anyway, so really awesome. Really awesome capability for doing that and exposing those slots within your profile without exposing actually your calendar information. Yeah. Good. Then we had the SharePoint roadmap update, which is again much more than just the SharePoint. SharePoint powers a lot of the features and capabilities across Microsoft 365, but there's a lot of additional capabilities coming in here as well, like the SharePoint Premium Translation now generally available. That's pretty cool. You can translate documents just by selecting the language and all of that, which is that is actually pretty sweet. Convenient, yes, that is actually really cool. Classic use cases which are now provided as part of the product as well, because we do know that there has been a lot of those solutions available. I think I implemented one of those in the past as well, using the Azure translation services, because that's how all of this is always working. But a lot of stuff listed here as well, what's available and exposed. So thank you, Mark, on that one. What was in the March teaser? Just quickly catching up on that one. Teasers, Microsoft Lists and new Forms experiences. I've seen that. That's pretty awesome. Not pretty awesome. That's a Finnish way of saying, by the way, it's awesome. It's pretty awesome. That but we don't want to over exaggerate. It's okay.
It's okay.
Was it good? It's okay. And answers in Viva content in Microsoft Search. That's actually really cool to have as well. Now, on the SharePoint side, we also provided an update on SharePoint Web UI Kit, new Figma web part components available. So this is version 2.2 for designing those portals and corporate communicational portals and experiences and in Figma. So awesome to see a lot of investments on the design side here as well. And Nicole will be also in a community call pretty soon on showcasing this with a few other people. There was also an update on the Microsoft Viva Clint. Patches are here, so if you are using Microsoft Viva Clint or reading and going through the learning journeys, you're able to get patches on that one and expose your learning journey with other people, which is really cool. There was also an update on March 2024 Viva Clint newsletter. So what are the updates on what's happening over there? That's actually really cool as well. And then on Viva Engage answers in 2020-2024 update. So basically answers in Viva Engage for those, because people are looking into questions, they have questions and then answers, and then we're able to expose these more efficiently within Viva Engage. I should spend a bit more time on Viva Engage. I know internally it's actually surprisingly well or widely used. So in Microsoft, it is super active. So On Power Platform side, on Power Apps, Clay had a blog post related on what's new in Power Apps February 2024 feature update. Again, monthly updates on all of the different features which are rolling out, which is really, really cool. The summary is not just roll out the daily communications, but also provide things. That's, by the way, the one thing. No, I wasn't supposed to do that. I was supposed to do this. No, not that. This. But this is the one thing what we, as for developers, we should have something similar for, SPFX developer, a reusable control, and for exposed, and then people would be able to have that Copilot experience in any text box like they can now in Power Apps, which is pretty cool.
Well, I mean, if you would ask me, that belongs really in browser, so that you can have it on any text field anyway, as opposed to only in SPFX.
That's a fair
Just
point.
do it in Edge, and then you can use it everywhere in any type of app.
Yep. Let's see if I can actually get rid of my zoomings. There we go. Now it's
no, you cannot. You will always stay zoomed.
Stuck in that zooming mode. No. Now, DevProxy had a new version. So what's new in 0.15?
Correct. So new month, new version. And the biggest improvement here is actually the ability to mock APIs that are secured with Entra. Because if you build an app for enterprise, typically you connect to APIs that aren't anonymous. In our world at Microsoft, they are behind Microsoft Entra, previously known as AAD, right? And typically the way you go about it is that, yes, you will eventually connect to API in production. But in your dev environment, well, you need to create Azure Functions on some other way. You need to create, you create a bunch of stuff that you don't ship anyway. So why waste time? So with that, we take kind of the opposite stance. That let's simulate that. So we allow you to do a number of, or we give you several options from which you can choose. Whether you want to check, the first thing is you will call the API with a token. And then the next step is what is it that you want to check about the token? Do you want to only check the audiences, the issuer, the scopes? Or we even give you the options hey, that has to be a real token. So not just a string you assemble yourself, but it's going to be a real token issued from Entra. So you can check that too. So we give you with that a full ability to control what is it that you want to simulate in your dev environment, with the goal of to get to as close to real as we can. Without you having to spend time building things you will not ship. So this is kind of the red line throughout everything that we do, helping you optimize your inner loop when you dev things, get really efficient with that, and spend as little time on the surrounding tangential things that aren't core to the app you're trying to build. So definitely check it out, because it's a new version with some great improvements, and there's more news coming out in the coming days, we hope, based on the things that we shipped. So stay tuned.
Really, really cool. Awesome working here. Absolutely brilliant work. So awesome stuff. Now on the developer blog, we also had the Word JavaScript API 1.7 requirement set now available. So basically, what's going to be what was released and is now available on doing things within the Word. New updates, new APIs, new capabilities within that side as well. Now on the CLI side, 7.5 was released on 29th of February. That is a special date. So
exactly, that's a version and I think we've done it. So CLI for Microsoft 365 exists now for 7. I think we're going into our 8th year. So I wonder if that's our first time that we ship on February 29. No, I think we've done it previously, 4 years back. We might have done the same thing, right? So anyways, this time around, we have a really cool thing to announce too, which is the ability. And that's something that in our world, I think probably everybody needed to use at least once. The ability to sign in with multiple accounts and switch easily without having to log out and log back in with a different account. So now in CLI for Microsoft 365, you can sign in with multiple accounts at the same time. And then basically you can easily switch without having to sign out and back in between them. So you can choose, hey, I want to do this. If you work with 2 customers, or you have your own dev tenant and a customer, and then your own environment for work, you can just sign into all of them and then switch. I'm working on this, I'm working on that, basically to, again, help you work more efficiently.
Yep, absolutely. Really, really awesome.
How many environments do you have out of
I
curiosity?
cleaned
How
up
many tenants?
my profile. I had like 35 different tenants in my edge, but then some of them are outdated and some of them are super old, and I at some point of the time it's like just delete.
It would be actually interesting to see if we can deal with that with 35 environments.
Cool. Let's then move into the community articles. There was an article from Sudharsan K on how the show documents tagged with the enterprise keywords in a detailed list in SPFX. Actually, really cool scenario as well. I think we have a screenshot here, if I remember correctly.
At the end?
All the way in the end on the implementation. No screenshot, unfortunately. So, but there's I think we have I've seen a screenshot out of this. He will be showcasing this in a community call, in an upcoming community call as well. Unfortunately, no screenshots on how that would look like, but basically showcasing the usage of complex components and showcasing information and in a detailed list component and rendering those efficiently. Now, Sudharsan, remember to always have a screenshot. What is the outcome? Always. Then Mark D. Anderson had a interesting blog post related on Microsoft and knowledge management. Mark isn't really happy about the way the Viva topics situation went and the value and how hard the knowledge management actually is. He has a lot of interesting points. He has a lot of experience since 90s related on this area. And this relates on the discussion with the Viva topics, which will be retiring at February 22nd in 2024. So that was released in the docs, was it last week? Week before. Anyway. Adam Wojcik had a tweet related on the latest version of the Viva Connection Toolkit. It's actually really cool to see. It's the classic story on nobody's using, some are using, and all of a sudden it has more and more usage. The tooling is absolutely brilliant.
Snowball effect, yeah.
Snowball effect always. And great work on Adam on creating updates and innovation in here as well. So a lot of great stuff in done. That's actually really cool. So basically, as you start creating a new project, you do not need to provide the command line one by one. You can just fill in the form, click a create a thing.
It's all about efficiency. It's still there. If you want to use command line, it's still there. Absolutely, it doesn't 100%, take anything away.
100%.
But this is just a layer on top that you can use to really quickly do what you need to do.
Yep, really cool stuff. Now, Alex Pierce had a blog post related on Microsoft building a Teams OS, PVA plus Microsoft Teams OS. Is it PVA as in the
progressive web apps?
Yes, indeed. His way of thinking on where the Microsoft should be potentially heading, all of that stuff. Teams as a platform, what you can build on top of that, and what are the capabilities. I wouldn't call it as an operating system, but I do understand the reference point on the operating system, because especially for frontline workers, you are inside of the Teams for meetings
with your
calls
apps,
and apps,
in a
and
way,
all of that stuff.
I understand why he would think that.
Yes. Kind of an interesting approach on thinking in here. Chris O'Brien had a blog post on getting started with plugin development for Copilot for Microsoft 365. Why would you do Copilot extensibility? Why Waldek?
Because two things. In your work, you work with info and data that's not only stored within Microsoft 365. So one. Two, Copilot for Microsoft 365 only has access to content within M365, and you want it to have access to everything so that it can truly be your intelligent assistant, right? If you only give it access to a portion of info with which you work, well, it will only be able to help you based on that. So the more you want to basically, it's your interest to really empower it to be able to know more so that it can be a better advisor to you. Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. And basically Chris goes through the different options, what they are, and his considerations and thoughts related on the use cases, when to use what is the low code, what is the pro code, and all of that, and the cost impact of that as well. So really great blog post on there. Wartman had a interesting blog post as well, generating images using Azure OpenAI DALL-E 3 in SPFX. That's a really cool use case actually. So integrating the DALL-E 3 directly within the context of Teams or in Outlook or in SharePoint using SPFX and generating images from there. That's actually really cool. And he talks about how it can be implemented. It is actually surprisingly easy if you're into the SPFX development. As long as you know the APIs, you have the keys, you are good to go. So
yeah,
client-side development.
a token, right? Like all you need to do is to put in the
just get the token.
Yeah, put token here.
Yes, there are no limits as long as you have the token. Token will take anyway.
Yeah.
And then 2 videos. We didn't have that many videos this week. So Shane had a new weekly video on, do you know 10 ways of can filter Power Apps Gallery? So basically the implementation details and technology is there. Really great stuff. And then Laura Rogers had a normal, what are these? The weekly show,
Office hours?
Office hour. No, is it office hours? But with Jolene. Power hour. There we go.
Power hours. It's office hours, but for Power Platform, hence Power Hour.
Power hour, which Jolene. So room booking with Power Apps, a guide to book room template. So really cool as well. Cool. I guess that's it for now for this weekly show.
One thing that we haven't talked about is what's on your plate this week.
I have no idea.
Really?
No. So MVP Summit is next.
Inbox 200.
Yes. MVP Summit is next week. So that's going to be next week's agenda for sure. I'm prepping for that one. We do have some special sessions and all of that with MVPs in Redmond. So that's a nice thing. I'm super lucky. I did the smart move on, I try to avoid on Friday leaving too early, so I can stay and show the commitment for MVPs that if they are around in the campus, I will not leave. So I took the Saturday flight, and now it's 7 a.m. flight, 7 a.m. from Seattle. So.
Okay, so that means that you need to wake up early, really early, take a cab, but then it also allows you to do traffic jams. Yeah.
No, there's no traffic jams at 4 a.m. in the morning when I'm trying.
Exactly. So you avoid that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But already feel the
rush or the
so
I mean, it's cool. Like I have really, like if I think back about the times when like I would be an MVP going to the summit, it's really cool. Like I recall all the way back when, from the very first time I was at the summit to I don't even know which was the last one. But it's
2019
really
probably. Anyway.
Yeah. But I think like there were MVP summits where I think the last in person when I was still that might be 2018, 2019, something around that. Yeah.
But it is it's a once in a lifetime experience to go to the Redmond campus first time, and now the new campus is starting to be in a good shape. So the biggest garage, for example, in the US is underneath the new campus, which is like, wait, what? How? But they're really cool. I was able to visit some of the buildings already in October last time when I dropped by at the office, and it's really cool. But then for going there first time as an MVP, you get that first time experience, the excitement, and seeing Redmond and seeing how it works and all of that stuff. And with all the honesty, every single time I go there, and I always rent a car because I typically live in Redmond town center because it's easy to. I'm driving traffic from Bellevue and all of that stuff.
Well, but now everybody's there because nobody's in Bellevue anymore, right?
I don't know. I really don't know. There's, by the way, now a train from Redmond Town Center to campus as well, which is like. But the one thing what I was trying to explain is the feeling when you're driving back to the hotel or in the morning when you're driving to the campus and being like, I'm actually working in Microsoft. I'm heading to.
And then you are on the campus, and then it's like a town of itself because it's so big, right?
Exactly. The same for MVPs as well. I'm an MVP. I'm in the campus. I can see the Microsoft. Hey, these people are here to help me.
And then actually, like seeing in person the PMs with whom you work, the product groups, get there in the room, and the conversations. sessions you have with them in person, it's not the same when you get to meet them at
Correct.
events. It's different.
Correct.
It's just different energy. It's different feel. So yeah, if you are an MVP, you definitely should try to go there at least once. And if you aren't,
Yep.
and if you
Yep.
aren't an MVP, why not?
Yep. Sure. Sure. And then of course there's so much to do right now, but prepping that is really on top of mind and making sure that everything is working there properly, and setting up things behind of the scenes. So that's really good. And of course we're doing that within the Microsoft 365 developer track, working together with Fabian Williams on that one, because again, it's good tag teaming, and he's flying over as well, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
What about you? What's on your table?
We shipped new things last week, so I'm done. No,
Yes.
it never happens, right? Like if there's one thing that is really cool about building a product, and that's cool, and it's not cool, is that it's never done.
Yeah.
Right. So
True.
there's always new ideas for improvements, new things. We're looking into some new opportunities. What else can we do? You know, like what can we do with the tech that we've got? What others? What other problems can we solve? So we've got a few experiments coming up, hopefully in the next few days. So I hope that we will be able to talk about it soon, because I'm really impatient about it. It's really, really cool. Other than that, what else is on my list? Planning some new things. So like for the next, I think until the end of the week is going to be more, thinking and doing, just so that the next week we can, go full steam ahead again.
Yep, makes perfect sense. Absolutely. Cool. I guess that's it for now. So thank you, Zoe, one more time on joining us. The spring is clearly here.
The yellow thing is up and you cannot see anything.
That's a positive thing. But
yes.
Yeah, thank you, Zoe, for joining. Thank you, Waldek, for being the partner on this show. We're hitting 240 episode, then week after this. So that's actually very cool.
Woo!
We'll get to 250 by the
end of the year.
By the end of the fiscal year. Yes. Anyway, doesn't matter. But thanks everybody for watching and listening. Please use hashtag PnP Weekly when you're sharing something, or you can tag it in your LinkedIn or in Twitter. We'll try to always capture those in the calls. But other than that, have a great rest of the week, and we'll be in touch.
See you next week.
Cheers. Bye-bye.